Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Smart Data Learners. Today our topic is use relationship in Power BI DAX. So basically this use relationship is a very important DAX function uh, we can utilize to calculate summary, for example, for the summary sum of sales by uh, different kind of dates, right? So let's say we have received the orders, right? So total orders, for example, we received, and we will have the order date of these, right? And so order date and the total order we received, and then out of these, how many have the due dates? Then we need to know what by what are their due dates, right? And then also we also want to know how many shipped by what dates. So total orders received, then their due dates by for example by month or by year, and then the ship dates. For example, how many orders were shipped by month or by year. So this is an example of here we have we have utilized the use relationship function in this in these three different tables, and these three different tables shows the amounts, different amounts according to their criteria, date criteria. For example, we have this this table where it shows sum of sales amount, and this sum of sales amount is total we received the orders by a year. For example, in 2010 we received $14,421 worth of orders, and in 2011 we received orders or sales amount, right? We make sales or order or sales amount of 7.075525 million, or 7,075,525 orders. And in 2012, we received orders worth of 5,842 and 485, and so on. So total order we received 29,358,677. So orders we received are same, but now in the first order we received that we how many orders we received by year, and then we want to know, for example, in this table, their due dates, and in this table shows some due date by calendar year. So, for example, in year 2010, we received 43,421 orders, but in 2010 we didn't have any due date. The due dates we received in 2011 are 6.852 million, $489,000 orders, and of these we ship $6.978 $20 million thousand dollars shipped in 2011, and so on. So that is basically very important function. We need to know, like, uh, how these orders were, how many orders were received by year, what were their due dates by year, and how they were shipped by year. So uh, let's go to the our data model. And for example, in our table, let's look into the table. We have the fact internet sales table. This table, fact internet sales table, has due dates, order date, and then we have ship date. So we have three different dates: order date, due date, and ship date, right? In this one table. And this table, let's now let me show you now the data model. So we'll focus on our this current problem. I will not go through all the data model, but we'll focus right now on the use relationship point of view in this data model. And you see, this is our fact internet sales table, where we see that we have three different dates. Ship date, this is a ship date, and then this is a order date, and then there is a due date. And as you know, the important aspect of the this data modeling is, this is our dimension date, dim date. It's our calendar table, right? So between these two tables, we can have only one active relationship. So we have one active relationship, which is between the order date key and the calendar table, which is a dimension of date table. Date key is now related to order date key. So it has a many to one relationship, means one date key could have many order date keys, right? That's one aspect. So that is an active relationship. And there is we can only have one active relationship, and that and between two tables. So in fact, internet sales table and dim date dimension date table, we have one active relationship. But now we also and that's how it will, when we summarize the, by default, when we summarize the sales amount, which is this sales amount, it always shows the order date, what date these sales orders were received, what date these sales order were received, sales amount we calculate, right? And now we also want to use the ship date and due dates, which are which will be linked to the, or related to the date key. Let me show you that. So now, for example, we have a ship date key to date key, it's many to one relationship, but it's not an active relationship as compared to this one is an active relationship. See, order date key is an active relationship. Similar, due date, due date and date key are is not an active relationship. However, we have an inactive relationship, but for the calculation purposes, when we need to measure sales amount with the due dates by and by ship date, we need to write down a measure. So let's go to our visual. So we created two measures, extra measures. One is some due date, and this is some due date is basically it's a calculate sum. We will always use the calculate function to sum fact internet sales amount, and then we put the comma, and then we use relationship between dim date key and the fact internet sales due date key, right? I hope I was able to explain that. Let me make it a bigger one. Okay. Some due date is equal to calculate sum fact internet sales, comma, and then here we will use relationship dim due date fact internet sales to due date key, right? So this is the measure we created, due date, and the same is measure for the ship date. Here we will use relationship dim date key and fact internet ship date key. Let me you see we are using the relationship dim date key fact internet sales ship date key. Here is the ship date key, right? Okay. So when we use this table, we simply summarize the sum of sales amount and order date year. So this is basically year portion of the date, and this is summarizing total. And in this table, we use some due date and then calendar year. Okay. So this is the due date. Yeah, this is order date. You see, in this measure we use this some due date, the measure we created, and the calendar date, and that's here. This is ship date, which is that simply shows that these much of orders were received. These were their due dates, and that's how they were shipped. We can use in a graphical manner also. Let's create a graph, and we will use. Okay, so this is our calendar year. So see, it shows. Let's put first sales amount. Now it shows that in 2013, sales amount 16351. You see here. Now, if we add another ship date, also due date, now these are the due dates. Some of 2013. You see, in 2013 we have due date 16044 here. And for example, now let's we add a ship date. Now we have this one. Top is some ship date. So basically, this is just a visually I've tried to explain why this use relationship is important, and what's the purpose of having multiple relationship, one active and few inactive relationship between two tables. So that's how we know that in this year, uh, for example, in 2000, we have a sales amount of 16351, due date so much and this and this. That's how we see how these shows. We can also show this in a different graph, like for example, we can see ship due date and this one. And let me go through our this is theoretically what it says. So the use relationship, just to recap what we have done, the use relationship function in DAX is used to activate an inactive relationship between two tables for the duration of specific calculation. This is particularly useful when there are multiple relationships between tables. For example, date linked to both order date and ship date in sales table, but only one can be active at one at a time. Common use. It is most commonly used within calculate to temporarily use different relationship for filtering. That we already have covered. We have already covered in our example. We'll remove that. This formula calculates sales based on ship date rather than on active order date and so on. Key points. It must be used within a calculate function. Helps manage multiple relationships without changing models active relationship. Essential in time intelligence scenarios with multiple date fields. That's what we did today. So I hope this presentation video tutorial will make sense. And if you like this, please subscribe our channel and like our video. Thank you very much and have a great day.